One of my theories about workplace bullying is that it is a form of narcissistic abuse. So workplace bullies are by definition personality disordered, or at the very least, they have an insecure attachment style. However, narcissists do not target just anyone. All abusers are fundamentally weak, lazy cowards, and they like a nice, soft, easy target. They pick off the wounded animal at the edge of the herd. They want someone who is already doing half their work for them. Narcissists actively prey on people with pre-existing trauma, weakness, vulnerability, low self-esteem, or some kind of mental health condition of their own, addictions or personality disorders. As a target, you may struggle with low self-esteem or your own mental health condition, and it shows. That is actually what gets you targeted. This video is for those of you who identify as borderline. I have never been diagnosed as borderline. In fact, I don't think I have ever been formally diagnosed with any mental health condition, but I self-identify as borderline. As I understand it, borderline is characterized in part by emotional volatility. You're all over the place. You're all over the map. Everything you feel is up to 11. You ping pong between these emotional extremes, like joy instead of happiness, rage instead of anger, depression instead of sadness, shame and humiliation instead of embarrassment, and so on. Borderlines also describe this feeling of skinlessness. You feel raw. You don't know where you end and other people begin. And all of that intense emotionality is just silly putty in narcissists' hands. It's high supply. That is why the borderline is the narcissist's all-time favorite snack. If you are borderline, you're not chocolate cake, honey. You're like the whole Parisian patisserie. The narcissist borderline dynamic is tragic. These two eat each other alive. This is Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the ultimate perfect public example of the narcissist and the borderline. Borderline is very high in Gemini females. Psychologists predicted that their split would be explosive, and it was. It is my personal theory that what a borderline really is an unhealed and untrained empath. It is also my personal theory that most often the target of workplace bullying is an empath. So often, narcissist victims are unhealed and untrained empaths. Just like narcissism, there are a lot of misconceptions about what an empath really is. An empath is not a nice person, people. That's not what an empath is. Some are nice, some are not so nice. And an empath is not a codependent. Codependent and empath, that's two different things. An empath is someone who feels other people's emotions as though those emotions are his or her own. An empath is a sponge who absorbs all of the energies around her and then reflects those energies back perfectly like a mirror, and that can present as borderline mood swings. Empathy basically means that you have really shitty spiritual boundaries. That's the skinlessness. Some empaths were born with the gift. It usually runs in the maternal line, and that is not some misandrist statement that I'm making, because there are many beautifully intuitive men. However, most empaths, like narcissists themselves, are created by childhood trauma. You spent your childhood with your antenna, your porcupine quills or tines, your feelers tracking the other person in the other room so you could know when the next hit was coming. That is a spiritual bypass. You literally bypassed yourself so that you could focus on the other person. And that is exactly what narcissists want. That is why empaths are so attractive to narcissists, because empaths give narcissists what they want: undivided attention. And because an empath is a sponge, you also take on all of the narcissist stuff for them. Because narcissists have no self-awareness and cannot self-regulate, they are not comfortable with negative emotions. And so they're looking for a target for their projections. They're offloading. If you are an empath, you are the universal dump master. And they target you because you receive it. Long story short, if you do identify as borderline, understand that a lot of the emotions that you feel may not be your own. You may be picking up other people's stuff, not only in the workplace, but also out running errands, from your neighbors through the walls, or even from the social media and art that you consume. You have the gift of empathy because, like everything else in this lifetime, you asked for it. You opted in. You signed the agreement. You signed on the dotted line, and you're in it to win it, kiddo. But you need to understand that the universe does at-will employment. If your empathy is bothering you, all you have to do is break the agreement, get out of the contract. Get together with your angels, your guides, your ancestors, whatever deities and avatars that you work with, and shut it down. Shut it all down. It's like, this is not working for me. This does nothing for me. This is a diminished and impoverished quality of life. I don't want to do this anymore, and I want to do something else with my life. I have a psychic medium who did that. She enjoys being a medium who can communicate with the dead, but she did not enjoy her empathy. So she shut it down. If your empathy is bothering you, you don't have to live with it. You have free will. On the other hand, if you want to hold on to your empathy, empathy is often part and parcel of healing ability. All too often, empaths just so happen to also be natural healers. How do you know you are a natural healer? Let's review. First of all, that's what everyone tells you. You're like my therapist. You're so calm. You're so zen. You're so good to talk to. If I have to hear that I am such a good listener one more time, I'm going to vomit. Raise your hand if you are sick and tired of being used as everyone's surrogate shrink. You can't buy a new pair of trainers at Marshall's without the cashier having to tell you all about his family problems. You can't go to the podiatrist without having to listen to another narcissistic monologue about his boring weekend. Everyone wants to talk to you while giving you absolutely nothing in return. Another way you know you are a natural healer is that you attract sick people. When I was in my 20s, I used to think that if there was a crazy person within a 10-mile radius, it was like I had fly tape all over me and thwack. These people were drawn to me like a heat-seeking missile. Scan the workplace, scan the grocery store, scan the gym, pick out the most disgusting, revolting, subhuman specimen. You know, that guy who's always at the gym, who always looks like he never goes to the gym. The guy with hair not only on his back, but also growing out of his ears. You know, that guy. And that's the one person who will not leave me alone. Another characteristic of a natural healer is that you went through something horrible. This could be the bullying. Most likely it started way earlier, like in childhood. You may actually work in a healing profession. I get a lot of communication from people who work in healthcare. That is not a coincidence. You may also have some kind of psychic or intuitive ability. This could be mediumship. This could be precognizance. This could be one of the 6 clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairalience, or clairgoustience. If you think you are not an intuitive person, you may not be aware of your intuition, but other people are. My twin flame used to say to me, every time I talk to you, I feel like you already know everything I'm going to say. People may say stuff to you like, how did you know that? I didn't tell you that. You may answer people's questions before they ask them. You may finish other people's sentences for them. You know you are an intuitive person when your intuition bothers everyone, especially narcissists who have something to hide. They get irritated, annoyed, and frustrated in your presence because they know that you see right through them. You're always one step ahead of them, and they can't control that. And empaths are the world's worst creepy crawlers. You're always reading people, and they feel like their boundaries are being violated in a psychic invasion. If you are an empath in the spirit world, you kind of look like a lighthouse that is attracting opportunistic energies, and that's what you look like in the workplace too. You may have an interest in all things paranormal or supernatural, or you may have paranormal or supernatural experiences yourself, lights flickering, water running, seeing things out of the corner of your eye. hearing footsteps, visitations, sleep paralysis, succubi, sex demon, alien or elemental activity. You may have noticed in my most recent videos that my camera is starting to pick up spiritual activity. You may actually see dead people, or you may get the feeling like the dead are always trying to communicate with you, like for some reason you always live near cemeteries or something like that. You have some kind of connection to the spirit world. You may have a high water chart. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. No, I'm not talking about your sun sign. Yes, my sun is in Aquarius, but I have a big Pisces stellium. Run your chart. There's a little rectangle to the lower right of it that breaks down your chart by element. Another sign that you are a healer is that your partners heal from you. After they dump you, they move on to the one because you healed them. If you are an empath and a natural healer, you're probably a loner. You don't realize it, but all that time that you spend alone, you're actually detoxing from all the negativity that you picked up from other people. You are processing other people's pain for them. You don't do very well in big cities. Apartment complexes are a living hell, and you wouldn't be caught dead going to the mall or going to a party. You prefer one-on-one interactions that feel more manageable. You need to spend time in nature. Without nature, you feel sick. Another sign is kids and animals. If there's a kid or an animal in the room, they make a beeline over to you, and there's something going on with your eyes. Empaths usually have big ass eyes. You may have one eye bigger than the other or different colors, and there's something going on with your hands. The wounded healer in astrology is Chiron, from the Greek word chair, which literally means hand. That's where we get the word surgery. You may have hands that are unusually large or unusually small, one bigger than the other, strange defect, deformity, or injury, or markings or scars. You may not realize it, but you may have healing ability in your hands. And a natural healer is also a natural witch. The last 3,000 years or so of the Abrahamic religions have really given witches a bad name. Witchcraft is one of the world's oldest spiritual traditions and a beautiful practice that white witches used to create peace, joy, and love in the world for themselves and their loved ones. A witch was originally nothing more than a woman with knowledge of the healing properties of the earth. Witches were early pharmacists. That's all they were. And no, men who practice the craft do not call themselves wizards or warlocks. They call themselves witches. This is not Harry Potter. But healing is a great power indeed. And as medicine was co-opted by the misogynistic patriarchy, just like everything else, men really didn't like that much power in the hands of a woman. The historical persecution of witches is literally the world's longest running narcissistic smear campaign. If you are an empath, you need to learn how to do two things: protect and cleanse. Protect, shield, and guard your psyche, your inner being, your emotional body, and shore up those energetic and spiritual boundaries all day, every day. In the event that any garbage that does not belong to you invariably gets past your boundaries, cleanse and cleanse and cleanse on the daily like your life depends on it. And you can do both of those with witchcraft. The first thing that you want to do is use crystals. Wear them on your person at all times. Place them at strategic points of entry, doors and windows around your home, and sleep with them. The big one is black tourmaline. I've heard that it is the most protective crystal. You will want to cleanse the crystals themselves. You can do that with white sage, or just collect all your crystals and place them out under the light of the full moon. I tend to put out all my crystals on the full moon and the new moon. You can also wear other protective amulets, charms, or even tattoos like the evil eye or the Hamsa, for example. You also want to protect yourself with creative visualization. Imagine a protective barrier encapsulating you. Some people visualize the white light, but it can be light of any color, like the violet flame, for example. Some people imagine a brick, granite, or concrete wall around themselves. I have a concrete wall that is 6 feet thick, like a Soviet apartment block, around me everywhere I go. Other people wear a protective cloak like Harry Potter, or a cloak of mirrors, reflecting all energy away from them. You also want to protect yourself with prayers like psalms or whatever is in accordance with your belief system. Say them around your home and before you enter any spaces outside of your home and regularly throughout the day. You can also protect your home with salt, chalk dust, or red brick dust, or all of the above. So what you do is you take the chalk or the red brick, place it inside a plastic bag, take it outside and pulverize it into a dust with a hammer. You can buy red brick dust online, but I think it's always better to make it yourself. If you live inside a private home, you want to sprinkle the salt, the chalk dust, and or the red brick dust around the external perimeter of your home, setting your intention, saying prayers, and asking for protection. If you live inside an apartment, just sprinkle the salt, the chalk dust, and or the red brick dust along all points of entry. I have salt and red brick dust along all windowsills and thresholds, along with my crystals. Finally, to protect your home, you can tape mirrors facing outward on all windows and all mirrors, because mirrors are portals. This reflects all negative energy away from your home. To protect your workspace without attracting any attention, you can sprinkle it with essential oil. Any essential oil will do, especially mint. I tried that one and it worked really well. You can also make bitch away spray or bitch be gone. You boil white sage and then put the boiled water in a spray bottle and spray it around your workspace to keep the bitches away. For cleansing, you will need two things: white sage and salt. When you burn white sage, it's called smudging. When you smudge yourself, you sort of bathe in the smoke of the white sage. When you do this, you want to be naked and you want to get both your genitals and the soles of your feet. A lot of people don't like white sage because it smells like cheap weed. If that's the case, you can use Palo Santo instead. Again, light it and bathe yourself in the smoke. You also want to bathe with salt. You can take salt baths. If you take showers, all you have to do is take a pinch of salt and put it in your soap or cleanser. That's all it takes. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy like organic pink Himalayan rock salt. Table salt will do just fine. Finally, to cleanse your body of all negative energy, you can do an egg cleanse, limpia con huevo. You can just Google that. To cleanse your home, the first thing you want to do is literally clean it. Do not allow negative energy to accumulate in your space. You want to do a thorough spring cleaning when you clean all of the things that you don't ordinarily clean on a weekly basis. Move all the furniture and clean everything. Some people even clean the walls. I know that's hard. I do that about once a year. As you clean, weather permitting, open all your windows to release all of that negative energy out of your home. You can also clean your home with Palo Santo or white sage or just regular incense. I burn regular incense inside my home every day. If you do that over time, you will find that it gives your home a really nice smell. You want to start at your front door and move around the internal perimeter of your home in a clockwise direction, asking the universe to cleanse, bless, and protect your home, and saying whatever prayers are in accordance with your belief system. You can do the same while ringing singing bowls or chimes. Again, start at your front door, circle around the internal perimeter of your home, ringing the bowl, saying prayers, and asking for protection. If you don't want to invest in a singing bowl, just bang regular pots and pans together or find some spiritual music on YouTube. The objective is just to use sound to cleanse your home of negative energy. You can also do the same reading aloud from your holy book if you have one. You can also burn candles. Try to keep candles burning inside your home at all times if possible. Finally, you can do what's called the lemon trick. You take a lemon, cut it into 4 pieces, place it on a plate, sprinkle it with salt. Again, table salt will do just fine. And set your intention that this lemon absorbs all negative energy from your space. Place it out of the way of children and pets. When it starts to rot, you can dispose of it. It's okay to throw it away, but I think it's better to return it to the earth. Everything that I have mentioned, the candles, the chalk, the crystals, the egg, the essential oil, the incense, the lemon, the mirrors, the Palo Santo, the red brick, the white sage, and especially the salt, need to be blessed. Say whatever prayers are in accordance with your belief system to bless all of your spiritual items for your protection, cleansing, and healing. I have written individual spells for all of my spiritual tools, but I will never share them. My book of shadows lives and dies with me. All of this is a practice. It is not a one and done. The candles, the crystals, the creative visualization, the white sage, and the salt at the very least should be things that you do on a daily basis. The opposite of narcissistic abuse is self-care, and spiritual practices are definitely one way to self-care. If you cultivate a regular spiritual practice, over time you may find that it becomes something that you really enjoy doing, and that improves your overall quality of life. I know that after I finish my rituals with my candles, my crystals, and my incense, I just feel so happy, relaxed, and refreshed. So if you have been diagnosed as borderline or you identify as borderline, I hope that these tips help you understand that your condition may actually be your empathy and help you recognize your gift and how to manage it better. I hope that helps. Take care.